Hi, I'm Harry.
And I'm Deal.
Hi. Today we thought, well, seeing as Tenet's coming out in July, it would be quite fun to go through Christopher Nolan's films and rank them together and compare where our films come in the rankings. So let's get right into it. Are you ready?
I think so.
Cool. All right. Let's start with number 10. And my number 10 is Following. Now, I know you've not seen Following. Um, but it's a film he did on a very small budget in London, and it's just classic. It's classic Nolan, it plays with time, and it's just a bit of a. It's very intriguing, but it's just nowhere near as good as his later films. So that's why it's at number 10. Um, and I think we'll both have the same number 9. What's your?
Um, well, my number 10 is obviously Following
Yeah,
because I haven't
yeah,
seen it. Okay, even
yeah,
if I put it as like no, my number 3 is Following.
yeah,
Yeah, but and I really and doing this video and making this list has made me think. Right, that's kind of annoying me now. It's like the only film of Christopher Nolan's I haven't seen. I need to get this
yeah.
watched for my own
It's
peace of
only
mind.
it's only like 70 minutes long, I think. So it's
Oh,
quite
really? Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Well,
It's really
that really sells it then, you know.
and it's great. It's a great film.
Oh.
It's really impressive when you realize like he did it in his spare time whilst at college. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just Christopher Nolan. What he does in his spare time is just yeah.
So, I'm thinking that we'll both have the same number 9. Is that correct? You
Um,
you would like to go first?
my number 9 is Insomnia.
Yep, that is my number 9 as well.
Yes.
So, I think we can both agree that it's a really good film.
Hmm.
Yeah, like Al
And
Pacino.
Al Pacino opposite Robin Williams. You
Yeah,
know what a lovely mix of a
yeah,
cast and Robin Williams plays quite a you know sadistic kind of horrible character, doesn't he? He plays doesn't he play a
yeah,
serial killer?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
It's
Yeah,
interesting, yeah, because
yeah,
Robin Williams doesn't often play a villain,
yeah, yeah,
and he played it really, really well in this. It's like
yeah.
just made me think there about like Tom. It's like Tom Hanks never plays a villain.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
no, exactly, and it's a lot of people actually. I've seen opinions that this is their favorite Christopher Nolan film. So it's just so
mm,
subjective.
oh,
Uh, it's just
and
different.
that's
It's just different to his other films, and I think we find the aspects of the other films a bit better to us. I don't know.
and and also the reason why it's so low on our list, and I'm sure you're the same, is that it wasn't. It obviously came out whenever we were quite young,
Yeah,
but children, and
yeah.
we didn't
We
see it
didn't
in the
grow up with
cinema.
it.
We kind of
Yeah,
just we watched it at uni, like in the living room with everyone, and that
yeah,
was our first experience of it.
yeah.
But so the other films up the list are more impactful on us because of what we went, the
Well,
experiences.
we grew up with
Um,
them. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So with that done, number 8. I'll go first. My number 8 is Batman Begins.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. Is it a different number, different than yours? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about Batman Begins. What number have you got that as?
I've got Batman Begins at number 5.
Number 5. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So how come it's halfway up your list?
Um, So I actually I've watched Batman Begins a couple of times. I watched it again, like fairly recently, in like the last 6 months or so.
Hmm.
Um, and it made me really, really appreciate it even more,
Yeah.
for what it is, because it was one of those Christopher Nolan films that I haven't really seen that much of compared to the others.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
haven't seen it as much as Interstellar or The Dark Knight or Inception or Dunkirk. But no, I realized I had to put it up the list because I think it's just such a good setup for the Batman trilogy that Christopher Nolan did,
I
and
agree.
I really really liked like the cast in it. Like I really liked Katie Holmes's portrayal of Rachel.
Yeah.
and all the introductions to Alfred and Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne, and that kind of darker, cooler origin story, and then obviously the villain as well. Like I really liked Liam Neeson. Um,
The thing
but
is,
no, it just felt like it just
Mhm.
felt like, all right, this is a really, and it was after I'd watched I had watched The Dark Knight, and we'll talk about The Dark Knight more, obviously, probably like a lot later. But I watched The Dark Knight before Batman Begins. I don't
Yeah.
know whether what order
No.
you did yours in.
Yeah, I saw them in order. Yeah.
Oh, okay, right. So my first I think I'd seen The Dark Knight before The Batman Begins. I can't
Hmm.
remember correctly, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Hmm.
But no, I really just really liked the film. And as time has gone on, it has gone up in my estimations. Um, so
Yeah.
what about you? Tell me
Yeah.
about your.
I agree that it's like the best start you could ask for a Batman film.
Yeah.
The first two acts for me are really 10 out of 10. It kind of loses me in the third act a little bit. Whenever I watch it, I can never remember what's going to happen in the third act because it's not that memorable to me. But I always love the beginning. But I still enjoy the ending when I watch it. Like it's still great. And I agree, I like it better now than when I watched it when it came out. Um, yeah, it's just like a mature, quite intense, kind of epic feel to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I like it. I love the training, everything.
Yeah, and that,
Yeah,
that that is really cool, and the whole the third act does involve the train sequence. I think that is pretty cool.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. That's good. Okay, so what is your number 8?
my number 8 is Memento.
Memento. Okay,
Okay,
that's my number 7.
okay.
Yeah,
So shall we talk about it then?
yeah, yeah.
So the reason why I put Memento at number 8 is because one of the main reasons is I've seen it once,
Yeah.
and it's not as fresh in my head, and it's like it is. I know that it's not linear, and it's not, and it's
Hmm.
such a amazing piece of filmmaking,
Hmm.
really creative, really original,
Yeah.
ingenious, but it just doesn't sit as high for me because of I don't have as much of an emotional or an attachment to it.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I know that it's a absolutely brilliant film, and it's really really cleverly written, and um, it's full
Hmm.
of intrigue. But yeah, what's your thoughts on Memento?
So I've seen it maybe about 5 or 6 times.
Oh, right, okay, okay.
And I remember the first time it kind of confused me. The
Mm,
sec the second time and the third time, I think I enjoyed it the most. And then since then, when I've watched it, I know it quite well now. So when I watch it, it's like I know what's coming, but it's still enjoyable. And especially that second and third viewing is where it's really, you know, really hits home. Like you start to realize all the intricacies. So yeah, like I'd highly recommend you you watched it again. Yeah,
okay.
again, it's like quite, it's a smaller budget, much larger budget than following, but he proves himself that he can. What he does there is he proves himself that he can film what people might think is unfilmable, because everyone knows the film is set in backwards chronologically. So you watch the
Hmm.
ending and then you see each day back to the beginning, and at the same time you tell a cohesive plot through that, where
Yeah.
it's revealed to you because he's got memory loss. So that's how you reveal the plot throughout them. It's just, yeah, it's really clever, but it just doesn't quite hold up on those later viewings for me. And I think every film above this is more rewatchable now for me.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's why it's at number 7. But still, it's like a 9 out of 10 for me. So it's still amazing.
Oh,
Um,
my rewatch list is going to be huge after this video. Like I'm already three. Like
okay, so you're number 7.
my number 7 is The Prestige.
Okay. Yep.
And I've got really fond memories of watching The Prestige, and out of the so far we talk about rewatching this. Like when I talk about The Prestige, I'm like, this is probably the one I'm going to pick first to rewatch.
Yep.
Partly down to I love the cast.
Yep.
And there's a twist, and there's a really really interesting plot. And yeah, it's Scarlett Johansson, Christian Bale, and Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And David Bowie.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, he has a much smaller role, so. But yeah,
but he's still in it, which is cool.
So The Prestige is actually my number 3.
Oh,
so it's
okay.
super high for me. And yeah, I absolutely love it. It's what really makes me love it so much is the fact that the movie's about magic, and it shows you like how they do tricks and throughout the film, and what the plot twists and the things that happen in the film are actually structured like a magic trick. And it's just like only Christopher Nolan would be like, I'm gonna do a film about magic where the film is a magic trick. It's just like, yeah.
That's him all over, isn't it?
And also Michael Caine as well. When he's at the beginning when he's explaining how tricks work, and I love it.
Yeah, the John Ratzenberger of Christopher Nolan films.
Yeah. So yeah, that's your number 7 and a number 1 for rewatchable. For films to 100%.
Might put it on after this.
Okay. You go first then. What's your number 6?
My number 6 is The Dark Knight Rises.
That is also my number 6.
Nice. Okay, we're back on track a little bit. And then it's all gonna change. Yeah. So you can go first.
Yeah. So this one was actually a very special cinema experience for me, because this was the year that I started to get way more into films, like way more, like beyond just like casually watching them. Like I actively want to go see way more stuff. And that's just after seeing The Dark Knight Rises is when I started to like look into like the IMDb top 250 and go through all that. So this film was like at the beginning of my new excitement for films. And that had a lot to do with knowing how good The Dark Knight was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being fully aware of how good The Dark Knight was, this film coming out, like, I cannot wait for this. Went to see it, and it was so epic. It's just so epic. Yeah, there's like plot holes and you can nitpick, but it's just got a really epic feel to it. The music, the score, Hans Zimmer, like, just the big set pieces, the villains. Yeah, I really like this film. What about you?
Yeah, sort of similar. So I can remember very clearly going to see it in the cinema as well, and I had, when The Dark Knight came out, and I got the DVD of The Dark Knight. I'll not go into it too much because I'm excited to talk about it. But can you tell?
Yeah.
So, but no, I couldn't wait for this film, and I remember following like every detail at the time of like casting news about like production and filming, and like, I remember looking at the first photo of Tom Hardy like as Bane.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing about, and I know Anne Hathaway gets a lot of flack, but I'm quite a big Anne Hathaway fan.
Yeah, she's great in it.
I really, really like her. I think she's a really good actress, and I was so excited to hear that she was going to be Catwoman, even though they never call her Catwoman in the film. Selena Kyle.
The burglar.
The cat burglar. Yeah, Selena Kyle. But I thought she was just amazing in the film. I really, really enjoyed her performance. And I remember just when it came out and hearing about all of the problems with the audio, for Tom Hardy's Bane, because
Yeah, they redubbed it, didn't they?
I think they did a lot of it, yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a trailer coming out as well, and there's a scene where Gary Oldman, and that's another thing, Gary Oldman in these films. We haven't even mentioned that. He's so good. And he's lying in the hospital bed, and he's got the oxygen on, and he's trying to talk, and you're like, what is he saying? Like, cannot hear a single thing. But no, and I remember the ending. Like, I remember really, really liking the ending. Like, I thought this has really satisfied me.
Yeah, it's obviously spoilers now for the ending of The Dark Knight Rises, but they've set it up earlier in the film that Alfred wants to see the next time he wants to see Bruce. He wants to look across the cafe in Europe or something and see him, and they just don't even. They just acknowledge each other, but they don't even talk to each other, and that's the end. That's what the ending is. Yeah, it's like that. Seeing Michael Caine's acting and how he reacts to that is really, really great ending.
And there's the whole stuff with you think, and I actually remember thinking, oh, this is gonna be, because obviously it's a trilogy. I knew it was gonna be a trilogy, and with Christopher Nolan, like, he's probably not gonna do another Batman. So I thought, Christian Bale's Batman probably is gonna, like, he has died.
And it's great how he's saying about how he rides off into the distance.
Yeah. It's quite like a kind of poetic, like, he's come around over 3 films, and he's now just carrying the
nuke away. Yeah.
The nuke away and saving his city that he wanted to do. He's come full circle. But also the check the ID on the patch.
Lucius Fox.
Lucius Fox, yeah. What a like underrated performance.
Check the ID.
Check the ID on the patch.
Love that.
Yeah, and you're just like, wait, what? Like, oh, so he fixed the autopilot so he could survive.
Yeah.
Shows you why Bruce Wayne is so clever as well.
Yeah,
exactly. But and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, big fan.
Great. It's just such a good cast.
Oh, and that's Christopher Nolan's films, though, isn't it? You just look at them and you're like, oh,
I can't, off the top of my head, you'll know her name. What's, is it Marianne?
Yeah.
I can't say her name. What's her name?
It's French, isn't it? So she's Marianne Cotillard.
Yeah. Like, she's great as well.
Stars. Yeah.
She's great as well. Yeah, she's obviously in Inception as well, which is... We'll talk about that a bit later. All right.
So all in all, like, and I don't know. Just quickly, I don't know. I think, and I don't know whether this is the case, but I think a lot of fans, in hindsight now, like, it's The Dark Knight Rises has gone down in estimations, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people are like surprised that it's so high in the top 250. Like, a lot of people think it's just average. But to be honest, to me, like, I still see it as a fantastic film, and the reason it's in this position is because it still holds up, and it was such an important cinema experience.
Yeah, the way I would describe it is, it's a sum greater than it's a whole greater than the sum of its parts. Yes, there are some issues with the film, but that doesn't matter because of the way it makes you feel when you watch it. Yeah, that's how I see it. Yeah. Cool. So I'll go first with my number 5, which is Dunkirk.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is my number 4.
That's your number 4. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dunkirk, very different film, and he's obviously his latest one at this time of recording until Tenet comes out. So it's a very different type of film, isn't it? It's a historical sort of epic about the events that take place over is it 2 weeks? I can't remember if it's 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it's 2 weeks for the boats. A week. Is it a day for the beach and an hour or 2 hours for the Spitfires?
The sky.
Yeah.
So when it was kind of announced, and whenever there was more discussion about it, it did say that, didn't it? That it was going to be a story based on like water, land, and in the air. Like it
Yeah,
was,
yeah,
but who knew? And I didn't know that it was going to be so interconnected and the
yeah.
way that it was pieced together.
I need to see it again. I need to see it again because I've heard on the Ringer podcast, shout out to them, they had Quentin Tarantino on talking about his best movies of the
Mhm.
decade, and his pick was Dunkirk. And he says like he didn't start to think it would be one of the best films of the decade until he saw it for like the fourth time, and it all kept, when you start to really let it soak in. So I've only seen it once, and I need to see it again just for what
Yeah,
Quentin was saying.
I'm
Um,
the I'm the exact same as you,
yeah,
and I want to hear Hans Zimmer's score in the film again too.
yeah, yeah,
Because that's another thing about Christopher Nolan's film that makes it even much sweeter is
yeah,
that Hans Zimmer is a constant.
absolutely, yeah.
Because and the Dunkirk score is I think one of his best scores.
Hmm.
Because it really
Oh, it's incredible. That Super Soldier or Super, I can't remember the name of the track, but it's so intense. It's just
yeah
like
and,
there's a ticking as well, isn't there? Like a
yeah
clock.
yeah
Yeah,
yeah I really like Mark Rylance in that film as well. I feel like
absolutely.
that was whenever he really came onto that, and Bridge of Spies was when he
Mm,
really came onto my radar.
yeah.
And I know he's like a really well respected like theater actor, isn't he?
Mm,
Like for years.
mhm.
But he's getting into kind of more blockbustery films. But yeah, he was amazing. And this was like Harry Styles' film debut,
Yeah,
which is quite interesting that Christopher Nolan took that, saw some potential there. Um,
absolutely. Yeah, and he was great in the film.
yeah, he
Yeah,
was. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um,
I
but
love
no,
it
yeah,
how I love it how there's minimal dialogue.
yes, yeah,
It's just like they didn't make up any storylines. They just played out what they thought the events to the best of their knowledge were. And
yeah, and
yeah,
in the exact locations as well as they
yeah.
happened,
Hmm.
as far as possible. And
And
that's another thing, like the CGI and or like I mean well, he doesn't rely on CGI as much as most
yeah,
people, but the
yeah.
fact that it just looks so real, like it just looks like we're
It's because
watching
it
the actual
it's because
we're
it is real.
watching I know, but like it looks like the actual evacuation of Dunkirk, that you're in the midst of it, like
Well,
um
the ships that they had in out in the harbor were real. The battleship was real. It wasn't a CGI ship. It's just so
I
strange,
know,
like the efforts that they went to
like I know,
create
and then
that.
yeah, and the landing of the plane on the beach, and like just
And only Christopher Nolan could make over $500 million on a film like that.
yeah, 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 yeah. He is like he is just a bankable like star now, isn't he? He is
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Like Warner Brothers just was said, well, here's your budget, do whatever you want with it. Like, we trust you. And he pulled it off and he made a load of money. Like, incredible.
yeah. What a man.
And then a quick shout out to Killian Murphy's shell
Yeah,
shocked, performance. Very,
yeah,
very,
yeah,
very good.
yeah. He's another Christopher Nolan reg as well.
Yeah, yeah. No Michael Caine in this one.
A Chris reg.
All right, so that
Yeah.
was
So my
that.
five was Batman Begins. Obviously, we've gone over that. Yeah.
So we've
Um.
gone over Batman
Yeah.
Begins. So your number four was Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's now my number four.
Yeah.
Okay, so my number four is Interstellar.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, The Prestige was my number three. So before that, we get to Interstellar, and this was a tough contender for that number three place with The Prestige because of this was the first Nolan film that we went to see in IMAX. It was the first one I saw in IMAX in the cinema, and that blew me away. Like just the cinema experience, seeing that
That was
in IMAX, it was unbelievable.
and it will always stand out for me. I don't think it'll ever leave like my top three, like or top five cinema experiences. Like it was just
Yeah.
Like I remember just the docking sequence.
Hmm.
Like, do you remember just the boom of this like, and it was like your seat was shaking,
I
and
remember we were all
we all
leaning
just like see.
so
I was
close.
just like this, like just like sat forward, just like, come on, you can do it, come on, Tars. um, but it was just, and and you remember the score hadn't been released yet, and we were like listening away, like we were like thinking about how great the score was because we were really into Hans Zimmer at this point. We
And
hadn't we just been to see him in London?
we had just been to see
Yeah,
Hans Zimmer in
yeah,
London at his first ever public showing in London.
yeah. Just
Well,
had to
in the
get down
world, but
there.
it was in London. So we'd just seen that, and it was like a month before this film came out. So we were
That's
we were
right.
we were very keen to hear the score. Yeah, yeah.
And no, it was, and it's one. It is. I think it's oh, it's hard because I'm thinking of Inception now, but it is my favorite. I think it is one of my favorite scores, like for especially for Christopher Nolan films, and or especially for Hans Zimmer scores.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's one of my go-to. I think I was even listening to Cornfield Chase this morning at some point, like
Yeah,
um, so, but the story,
very cool. It's a very very cool story. Spoilers again for the ending. I just the ending didn't hit home. It hit home. It was good, but I don't know. Something still feels a teeny bit off to me about. I mean, I like how he. I think it was just the fact that he sees his daughter for like 30 seconds and leaves.
yeah, I know.
That's
There's the
what I would kind of have wished that maybe they showed her funeral and then he left. I don't know. That would have made more sense to me. Because why would he not want to spend as much time as he has with her? Oh.
Yeah, I guess he just goes in and sees her, and then he's just backing away, like, see, like a
Yeah,
away, like,
because Brand is still going to be that. Is that Anne Hathaway's character's name?
yeah,
She,
Amelia
she,
Brand, yeah.
yeah, she's still going to be there, like in a few years. Like,
Um,
I don't know.
it just feels like there could have been a little bit extra work in that last, like, to polish that up, that last kind of
10 minutes, yeah.
10 minutes, yeah. But it's still, you're right, it still doesn't detract from the experience that you've just
Yeah.
had before. But there is such a connection between him and Murph, and it's like massively explored, and it's such a huge integral part of the film.
Yeah.
Whereas and yeah, you're right that like it should be. It doesn't feel natural for him to just kind of right.
Leave.
Okay, I'm off.
Yeah.
I you kind of think, why doesn't he want to spend? You're right. Every waking minute left with her that she has left, and
Yeah.
talk about everything that they've both gone through.
That
Like
would
they
have
have
been a
got
way more
like
satisfying ending to me.
yeah, like because like why would you not want to know? Like your dad has obviously succeeded and you succeeded. Like you've got so much to talk about.
I
Like
guess it
the
could have been off camera, but it's just not the
yeah,
same. Yeah.
but still,
Or even if they just implied that it had been some time before he left, like, and she
yeah,
might have passed away and then he left, like, then you
yeah,
just kind of assume that they would have talked about it.
yeah. So this was like peak reconnaissance as well in that era, wasn't it?
Yeah. Dallas Bars.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's that meme of
Those
him,
aren't mountains.
there's always that meme of him crying, like.
Yeah. Yeah,
Although that scene works really well in the film.
oh, it's really really emotional. And one of my favorite scenes as well is the mountain. That you hear the clever Hans Zimmer ticking clock in the background.
Again, the ticking clock. Yeah.
Yeah,
Quickly back to Dunkirk and about Hans Zimmer. I think every moment of that film has a tick every second in the score throughout the whole film. Anyway, yeah.
they're just two masters like coming together and create that. Anyway, so. So Interstellar. I feel like I don't want to move on in case I regret not mentioning something. So
what was it? Your number? It was your number. What? Sorry, 3.
I haven't told you yet.
Oh, you haven't said. Ah, okay. You
So
have
it's
to say.
it is my number three. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But it
Cool.
was very, 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 very close to my number two, and I find it really hard to pick between them. Um, but I went for the other one just with a gut feeling. But this one nearly snuck into number two because of the cinema experience,
Yeah.
and because of just my own emotional attachment to it.
Yeah.
Like that whole idea, like, and I know some people find this quite corny, like, but that whole idea of like that love is the undercurrent and is the
Yeah.
real,
Yeah. Like as well as
the
all the
transcend,
science.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
As well as all the
transcends
science.
time and
Yeah.
space.
There's
Yeah,
like a spiritual thing going
yeah,
on as
yeah,
well as so it's like science and spiritual together. Yeah. No, I get that, and it could have maybe have been a little less on the nose, maybe. Like, but it was cool. Like I enjoyed it. Yeah.
yeah. And also cool. We have to mention one more thing is that he was heavily involved in the science, and a lot of it, there's a lot of theories out there that could potentially all be correct.
Well, it is. The black hole was simulated, like using Einstein's theory of relativity and gravity. It's a full simulation of what that actually would be like using real calculations and how time changes with gravitational pull. And yeah, it's all based in in
Yeah,
what we know could be proven to be real. Because
exactly.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think it is. Do you know? I think all that is proven to be real. It's just on a huge scale that's like beyond our thought.
Yeah, and that's sort of the thing too. Like some of it is like quite hard to comprehend to begin with, like especially the stuff in the fourth dimension.
Well, that's where it goes into theoretical.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's where you're kind of just a bit like, whoa, I've just gone through such an experience and now you're just throwing like this is just coming at me and what is going on? Like it's just but it also is quite good because it probably introduced a lot of people to those whole concepts. I know it introduced me to some things that I was then researched further,
Yeah, yeah.
just out of my own interest.
I
But
feel
no,
like it could be a film that ages very well if some of the things like that we might find out in the future about the universe. You never know. It could be way off. Could be way off. But the thing
yeah.
the thing about a wormhole just appearing outside Saturn is probably a bit of a stretch. That probably would never happen in reality. But then it's said that the fifth dimensional human beings put it there for them to use. So I don't know. It's it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's a heavy chat for a Friday afternoon, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. All right. So, did you say your number four was Dunkirk? Uh,
Yeah, number four Dunkirk, number three Interstellar.
so my number three. So my number four was Interstellar. My number three was The Prestige.
Hmm.
So, number two. Would you like to go first?
Yeah. So again, another really really hard battle between number one and number two,
Yeah.
really, and even number three. But
Yeah.
yeah. I have put Inception as my number two.
Okay. So I guess we'll just talk about
Okay.
two and one then, because my number two is The Dark Knight, and my number one is Inception, and your number one is
The
The
Dark.
Dark Knight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with Inception then.
Yeah.
Why is it your number two?
Um, it's my number two. I think one of the main reasons is that it was sort of like The Dark Knight is one of the I can remember The Dark Knight as being one of the Christopher Nolan films that just really, really, really made me appreciate him and actually when it came out and just delve right in and be like, right, I'm really a big fan now and like okay, I'll talk about The Dark Knight soon, but the Inception, I didn't watch it when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it like a few years later, maybe 2 years later, and I've big regrets that I didn't get to go and see it in the cinema. But I did get to go and see it in a re-release whenever I was in when I was in Melbourne. I don't know if I told you this.
Ah, no.
Um, yeah, so it was like an old it was like an old kind of arty cinema, and they did a re-showing of Inception. And it was and when I heard it was on, I was like, grab people together, like we've got to go to this. Like I've been waiting to see Inception in the cinema. Like it's sort of like course correcting, like kind of just I wanted to have the full experience in the
And
cinema.
how was it on that
Um,
cinema screen? Because I've not seen it in the cinema either.
it was really, really, really good. It was a real journey.
I suppose
And it
like
was
the
just
thing that would really really be different than seeing it at home is the sound, like having that cinema surround sound and the Hans Zimmer score on
it
those.
was it was just lovely.
Yeah,
It was and do you know what else I noticed as well? It wasn't like bum numbing either. Like it was three. It's obviously about 3 hours, isn't it? Nearly 3 hours.
I, I remember. Yeah,
And it's like the pace of Inception. Like it never lets up. Like
yeah. It is a long film. Yeah,
it never gives you like a chance to just kind of whew. Like when you get into Inception, you're just like like
it
you're
is.
zooming down like
Yeah,
and
it's my number one, and but I do have flaws with it, and one of the flaws I have with it is it's just so much exposition just dumped on you. Like, well, one character's explaining to another character how things work, but for this film to work, you need that. And it's so interesting, like listening to like Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Leonardo DiCaprio explain to Ellen Page how all this dream world works. You're like, what? Like, that's so cool. So I give it a
yeah.
pass because it's so interesting.
And I guess it is
Yeah.
exposition dump, yeah, but it
Yeah.
never feels like wrong. It feels like what they're telling someone is what
Yeah,
they actually would be telling someone.
it makes
um, which
sense. Yeah,
which
yeah.
makes it work. But no, yeah, you are right. It is a lot of that, but
Mm.
just the
That
scope and
that third act, man, when everything comes together, like each dream's coming together. They have to wake each other up throughout the dreams, causing a chain of events.
it's the kicks.
Yeah, yeah, the kicks.
Yeah,
The
it's
way the way the corridor, the car falling off the bridge, the snow, the mountain, the avalanche, and just or the building in the snow collapsing,
yeah,
and then being in limbo in the subconscious level of dream. Just all of it is it's
yeah,
incredible.
and the whole idea of Inception itself, like what that actually means, is like placing this thought into someone's head.
Yeah.
Of Cillian Murphy's character, so that
Mhm.
the whole idea is that they want to convince him that his dad actually cared about him and that
Mhm.
he
But
should carry on. He should
yeah, they need him to think that that idea came from within himself, not someone
Mhm.
else telling him that. So yeah, it's a really cool idea.
Yeah, and it could have gone wrong in so many opportunity in different places, but they just about managed to hold it all together.
Mm.
And there's just that amazing scene with like time at the end.
Hmm.
And Leonardo DiCaprio Cobb is like walking through the airport.
Yeah,
Like
again, spoilers for the ending. What did you think about the spinning top ending? Like whether or not it's real or not?
it's I absolutely love it. I think, and I have to say this. I think the ending of Inception is one of my favorite film endings ever.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
it's just so clever. It's so
How
Christopher
do you
Nolan, isn't
how
it?
do you how do you interpret the
Oh, how
ending?
do I interpret it? And why don't you? Because it's your number one. You tell me.
I interpret it as that it's real and that the spinning top was about to fall over, and it was just like a little bit of fun to cut away just before that to make you question it, to bring up the theory of could that have been a dream? But
Yeah.
I take it as yeah, it was real, and he made it back home.
It would be so twisted to think that it wasn't, wouldn't it? It'd be like just so like it's like there's two kinds of people. Some people who think that it like kept spinning, and some people who think it fell. um, I agree. Like I really hope and I pray that it like it's real, but like I really hope that it's real and I think it did fall, yeah, and he did get back to his family. But that is such a powerful scene. Like everything that Cobb has wanted has just been to get back to his children, and he's
Yeah.
just gone through so much heartache. With is it Maul?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to me, like the reason why it's my number one is I can't actually believe that someone came up with the idea and actually pulled it off by making it into like an entertaining film. Like it's such like high concept, like drama. It just,
Yeah, and the cast as well, like the chemistry that they all have together.
oh
Um,
yeah, the cast is great. Yeah.
yeah, and we can say that about every Nolan film we already have, but it was when Tom Hardy wasn't really the biggest name either. Um,
I've just realised it's 10 years old.
oh yeah,
This July, it's 10 years old. Wow. Oh, so Tenet's coming out on the 10-year anniversary of Inception. That's cool.
nice.
Yeah.
Tenet is the secret sequel to Inception. No. Well, yeah, like imagine that
Could be.
be like,
It could be like set in the same like world, the same universe that they've created that Inception is in, where it's possible to do that. Could be the same, setting.
yeah.
So yeah, who knows? It could be connected.
Yeah, Inception then.
Yeah.
10
So
10 out of 10.
you're number two, my number one. Okay, and now for your number one and my number two, The Dark Knight.
Yes.
Why is it your number one?
It is my number one because I picked it for a few reasons, and there was a few deciding factors. One of the first ones is that it's the one I've rewatched the most, and I've been compelled to rewatch the most, and I've wanted to rewatch the most. Like I could watch it 3 times today, and I would, and every time I would enjoy it like as much.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, I could. It's just so. It's one of the most rewatchable films, and every time, like, I feel like I still get something more out of it.
Yeah.
You know, like there's some Heath Ledger detail that I'm just like, oh wow, or there's some kind of like little
You
plot,
almost
small.
you almost became him, man.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go near. Wow. Yeah. So like there's like so many little small plot points that I find every time. Like there's little lines they're like about like Ramirez, being the snitch and stuff, and like there's so many things that go on that like just go over your head. And I remember like, and I've told you this before, I remember the first time I watched it, it wasn't in the cinema. I was given it as a gift, and
Same.
what an amazing gift to receive. Thank you. So I got it, and I remember watching it on the Saturday night, and I just it was unbelievable. I remember.
You were saying about rewatchability. It's the only film I have started again immediately after it finished.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was when I got the DVD. Yeah, I just as soon as it finished, I was just like to my brother, "Let's just watch it again."
Yeah, and I remember. I watched it the next day, so it was a Saturday evening that I watched it, and then I watched it the next day on a
Same
Sunday.
thing.
So
Yeah,
same
same thing,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, because I just couldn't get enough of it. Like I just thought this is like just like
It's
incredible.
epic. It's like a crime epic, but then it's set with like a Batman
comic
skin,
book.
and only that comic book element of having the mob kind of genre, crime drama. But you could only get like a villain as good as the Joker with that comic book aspect to it. You just like an absolute crazy maniac, psycho clown killer.
Yeah,
He just likes to mess with people.
Oh yeah, and it works so well for Bruce Wayne as well. Like everybody always says that the Joker Heath Ledger stole this film, and I'm like, yeah, of course he did. It was,
It was
But
amazing.
we've already had we built Bruce Wayne and in the last film, and that kind of we built the whole world of like Lucius Fox and of Gordon and Gary Oldman's character, Alfred, who is insane in this film. He's amazing. And there is oh yeah, there's a recast as well, which I'm not always a huge fan of, continuity. But Maggie Gyllenhaal is Rachel.
And that's one of my favorite scenes. This has always been one of my favorite scenes, is him having to choose. It's the interrogation scene. The acting's just crazy, and he gets he gets the information out of the Joker, which the Joker already planned to give him, that it's Rachel or Harvey. You need to choose, and he switches the addresses. It's just,
I know, because he thought, and like he thought that they would. He knew who they would go for. And what would happen. And that's the Joker in this film. Just like portrays him as he's the most clever. Like
how the Joker knew that if he told Batman if he told Bruce where Rachel was, that's where he would go, and he would get that person out. So obviously he's going to switch it to Harvey. But in the heat of the moment, like Bruce isn't thinking. Batman's not thinking about, could he be messing with me, like. And that's why the Joker's so great. He knows he's getting a reaction out of him.
And that absolutely must eat at Bruce Wayne as well, that he didn't think that and think, how did I not realize? Like, I could have saved her.
Yeah.
And then even Harvey Dent is like, why are you here? Like, you shouldn't be saving me. Like, he's just like, and then he's like, I know I shouldn't be saving you. We can't go without like talking in depth about Heath Ledger's performance. I mean,
it's just one of the all-time greats.
All-time greats, yeah. And there's loads of talk. There's loads of talk about what he went through to prepare for that role. He went to a hotel room by himself like a month and wrote a diary on his thoughts as the Joker for a month.
I still can't believe, looking at Heath Ledger interviews from before The Dark Knight, that was it's the same person. I still see the Joker, and then I look at Heath Ledger, and I can't get it in my mind that it's the same person. Like, it just doesn't register.
No.
Yeah.
And I don't know I don't know if this is true, but I think at the time there was like a lot of doubt about, like, whenever people heard that Heath Ledger was playing the Joker.
Yeah. There was. Even like the first screen test that got released, I think people still like it looks a bit goofy. Yeah.
And made even more tragic by the fact that he passed away before it was released.
It's very tragic. It's just it's a tragic but legendary story that will always be in pop culture now.
Yeah. And then he won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor afterwards, post.
Yeah. And his family walked up to get the award, didn't they? Yeah. And well deserved as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, just everything with The Dark Knight. The tone, the score, the clever writing. Again, the cast who
The
just
score is incredible. Yeah. And again,
boom,
the cast.
boom.
Yeah.
No, and it really the ending as well. Just really sets up The Dark Knight Rises so well. Because Batman, after losing Rachel, Bruce Wayne has to make that choice to be the one that they chase, and he's not the hero that Gotham deserves.
Yeah, exactly. You couldn't have said it better. It's the perfect ending, because it's showing you that he doesn't care about how he's viewed. He just cares about what happens, not not how he's viewed after that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he would rather, he knows that people can't. It would be so much for people to realize that Harvey Dent tried to
Exactly.
kill Gordon's child, and that their hero Harvey Dent fell so badly and became the villain, which is
Yeah.
tragic. But Bruce Wayne knows that people need that. They don't want to see
They
Harvey
need
Dent.
that comfort. Yeah.
They need that. They need him to be the
I
villain.
really like that ending. And then I also like the 8-year gap between The Dark Knight Rises and The Dark Knight. That's good as well. But that was a different film. Okay, so quickly running down my 10 through 1. We've got number 10 Following, number 9 Insomnia, number 8 Batman Begins, number 7 Memento, number 6 The Dark Knight Rises, number 5 Dunkirk, number 4 Interstellar, number 3 The Prestige, number 2 The Dark Knight, and number 1 Inception. Would you like to recap your 10 through 1?
Yeah. Number 10 Following, number 9 Insomnia, number 8 Memento, number 7 The Prestige, number 6 The Dark Knight Rises, number 5 Batman Begins, number 4 Dunkirk, number 3 Interstellar, number 2 Inception, and number 1 The Dark Knight.
Perfect. Nice one. There we go. Definitive top 10 lists.
Definitive.
So I think before we go, we should just talk about Tenet and just how are you feeling about Tenet, and are you excited?
Excited, yes, because obviously Christopher Nolan film. Yeah, tick tick tick. But I've also been staying away from a lot of information about it. I don't know.
Did you see the trailer?
I saw the first trailer and that's all I've watched. But I haven't watched it again. I've watched it once. And I know obviously that there's John David Washington and Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
And is Michael Caine confirmed to be in it?
I think he is in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No Hans Zimmer this time because Hans Zimmer is working on Dune and Bond and several other films.
We'll let him off.
Yeah, well, he's a huge Dune fan, so makes sense. But we're getting the composer of Black Panther. What's his name?
Ludwig Göransson.
Yeah, and he's really great as well. What else did he do since Black Panther?
He did something else last year I really liked.
Yeah,
was it If Beale Street Could Talk? No, did he do that?
Can't remember. I don't know. Well, he did.
He really bug me now.
I remember him doing something else that I really liked.
Yeah.
So that'll be good. And I think it might be his music in the trailer, and it's really good. But yeah, obviously it's going to play with time again. Spy espionage thriller type film playing with time. I don't know. Sounds absolutely crazy.
It does, yeah.
And there's that one line in the trailer, like you need to die, or that I'm not saying exactly what they said in the trailer, but it's something like you need to die to become to do this job or something like that. I don't know if it was a metaphor for just disappearing, but yeah, it sounds very, very intense, and I cannot wait to see it in IMAX this July if COVID doesn't ruin it.
Yeah. If I had to say now one or the other whether I think we will be able to, I would say we probably will.
With social distancing in place, so you can't sit next.
Yeah, and I think there's chat about like they're going to stagger the times of films, so that everybody will be safely into the screening before people start to show up for another screening of another film. Or of the same film, but no, and then obviously hand washing and social distancing.
It's going to be the only film out for like a month, so we're just going to have to just go back and back and back.
Yeah, and I heard, I don't know if it's true, but I heard there is going to be guidelines that like if you are in the same household as someone or you're going to cinema with someone that you can sit together. Okay. Yeah,
nice one. That'd be good.
Yeah.
So Tenet, we'll see where that comes in our list then.
Yeah.
Top 11 Christopher Nolan list.
Top 11, yeah. We forgot about Doodlebug.
Yeah. Oh, number one.
Number one,
zero. Number zero.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a really great short film. If anyone's
is.
watching this and hasn't seen Doodlebug, YouTube it because it's great, and it just shows you what you can do with a camera in your flat. Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, thanks a lot for talking some Christopher Nolan with me.
Yeah.
That was.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. All right, mate. I will see you in the next one for the podcast. All right.
See you then.
All right. Cheers, mate.
Bye.
Bye.